Hello out there, and welcome to the 112th edition of the Michael vs. Jason Horrorcast, where we love to bicker, argue, and debate all things horror. I am your host, Mike, and joining me this week, members 2 and 3, we got Jason and Kirk. Welcome to the show, guys.
What's up? How's everyone doing? I'm ready to go camping. Anybody in the mood to go camping?
I think there's some through lines there. I think you're hinting at something there.
I want to go camping.
I don't think you want to go camping on the movie that we watched this week. I think that would be a bad camping idea.
No, I say let's do it. I mean, I think I could survive, Jason. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Dude teleports too well.
Yeah, not only does it, I mean, he's got weapons laying apparently all around. He teleports, and I know you. You're dead probably in the first 40 minutes.
Nope.
If it's a movie.
Quick question. I need
Same
a fun
name,
fact
I
here
won't
between
die.
you two.
Oh.
Between Jason and Mike, who can run faster?
Oh, me.
All right, Mike. He has a little bit of a chance now.
He definitely runs faster, but I'm smarter. And I don't think the way to beat Jason is running faster, because apparently no matter how fast you run, you're either going to A, trip, or B, he's still going to catch up to you. But you can outsmart Jason. So that is...
see, I disagree, because most people run towards like another cabin or go upstairs or whatever. Me, I'm just going to run the hell out of there. Like, I'm going to find the dirt road. I'm out. I'm peace. Peace. Bye-bye. I'm going.
You're just peace?
I'm peacing out. Gone.
I'm just peace.
Peace out. I'm gone.
You're in pieces probably, but
no, that's going to be you when you trip and fall, because your bigger brain pulled you over. So I'm just going to throw it out there that you're dead.
Well,
see, my hope is Jason's running in the wrong direction. Mike's doing clever things to confuse him, and I can just easily sneak out of there.
Oh, I'm sorry. In this scenario, you're already dead, Kirk. I'm sorry. We're the last two. We're the last two left. We shoved you down. I'm sorry. It was casualty of.
The one thing that's rolling against you guys are both men, so
yeah,
you do not get final girl standards here.
Well, are you?
Well, Mike would be the closest. Well, Mike, you would survive then, because you would be the closest to the final girl.
Listen, if that's what's going to take to win, I will get out of there. That's fine. I'm fine. So I guess for those listening and have not been paying attention, this week's movie is Friday the 13th, and it's part 7. Apparently, there was some new blood, and that is the title. So if you haven't seen it, we are a spoilers podcast. We're going to spoil the absolute shit out of it. So this is fair warning. It is from 1988, though, so
and
if you haven't
minutes.
Watched it, is it 80? Oh, there you go.
88 minutes.
So it's what, 35 years old now at this point in time. So if you haven't watched it, odds are you probably weren't going.
It's almost 35 years old. It came out in October of that year, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, October 13th.
That's just fine.
Yep,
it's just fine. But before we get into Friday the 13th and all our other fun things, and we got some changes this week, maybe we watch some other things horror-related this week or anything else we want to talk about. So, Jason, I'll start with you. Anything else you watched this week?
I'll save one for last, but a couple that I've gotten in. So I found this really strange movie. It was called Pan Man.
Pan Man?
Pan Man. P-A-N-M-A-N. Yep, Pan Man. I found it on Prime. And basically, it's a comedy. It's a comedy horror, but it's like one of those that kind of, it's like a slapstick comedy, almost like what we saw with the stuff last week. But it's this guy that runs around wearing like a pan on his head, a spaghetti pan, like the big tall pans that you make spaghetti and sauce in and shit or whatever. He's wearing this on his head, and he's just going around and killing people. But through this whole entire movie, he's like trying to fall in love with this one girl, and this girl's falling in love with him, and then he kills her, and then like he goes on another killing spree. But it's like body parts everywhere. It was bloody as shit. I mean, the gore in this movie was like completely corny and way out there. And I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why I watched this is because I was watching I can't remember what movie I was watching on there, but this movie came up. You know how it always gives you the suggestions after the movie? This one came up after the fact, and I saw the preview to it, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll give it a whirl. And I'm still going to give it a 5. It wasn't bad. The blood and gore in this movie was legit. The story was absolutely atrocious. But
was there a final girl, and was her name Spoon Girl?
Spoonie.
Curiosity. Spoony.
Okay.
I just didn't know if Pan Man, Spoon Girl.
Well, Pan Man liked to use knives.
Fork Child.
The old Soundgarden song, right? Spoon Man.
Spoon Man.
Oh, I started singing Black Hole Sun in my head. That's the only.
That's what it felt like. And then another one I watched was a movie called Damon's Revenge from 2022.
Michael Madsen, right?
Yeah.
It's a part 2, the Indian kind of like comes back to life thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I probably skimmed a lot of this. It was so bad. It was awful. It was boring. Like, I don't know what Michael Madsen's thinking these days. Probably the same thing as Nicolas Cage. But, yeah, he didn't do well in this. Damon's Revenge from 2022, and this is why I stick with the 80s. And then, really, it was kind of... Oh, I got another one in, actually, that I wanted to talk about. It's not really a horror movie, but it had horror elements to it. But this movie was absolutely hysterical. It's from 2014. It was called Let's Kill Ward's Wife.
I actually... Wait, did I watch this, or am I about to...
This had the dude from Donald Faison. Yeah, he was in it, and he's Ward. And they basically, like, one of his friends acts like they're always talking about how they want to kill his wife because, like, she's the one that's, like, always, keeping him back, and then like making big scenes everywhere, like yelling at everyone, like a real bitch. Like, she's like a true Karen, okay? And the one friend accidentally kills her, and so it's like the whole movie is them trying to like find a way to like cut her in pieces and bury her and stuff, so they can make their tea time on time. It's actually hysterical. I actually gave it a 7. It was really good. I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, I added it to my list this week. Actually, it's so ironic that you said this. I'm a big Donald Faison fan, so
yes. There's a lot of other famous actors in it too, but.
Sounds like a mix with like Horrible Bosses or Throw Grandma from the Train. All those movies where they're planning to kill that one person.
Yeah, what was that one that had Cameron Diaz in it? You know what I'm talking about, though. That was like the non-comedy version of this. But it was one where they're trying to bury the body out in the desert.
Yeah, isn't Matt Dillon in it?
Yes, they were in Las Vegas.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. But this would be like very similar to that movie, except this was more of a slapstick comedy compared to what that movie was. It was like Weekend. I don't remember, but. I guess Mike's still looking it up.
Bernie's relevant.
No, very bad things.
Very bad things. Yes.
It's a great movie.
It's a really good movie. And then finally, I think Mike and I can talk about this one, unless Kirk, you went and saw Scream 6.
I did not.
You did not. Okay, so we won't spoil it for you.
Well, it's too new. We're not going to spoil it for all our listeners.
Yeah. No, but. I will say I did enjoy it. It definitely. I think the change of scenery was really good. I think the New York idea was good. The only thing I will spoil with this is I did love the little homage to Friday the 13th Part 8 that they had in this. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to say when, where, why, or how, but I'm just going to throw that out there. And no, it wasn't the subway, Mike.
From what I've heard, there's several homages with Michael Myers, with all the biggies in this movie. I haven't seen it.
Well, it takes place during Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are people walking around in masks, and obviously Ghostface is a known entity at this point in time. So people are in Ghostface masks, people are in Michael Myers masks, and Voorhees masks. Yeah, Freddy. So,
but there's an actual homage to Friday the 13th Part 8 that has nothing to do with Halloween characters. So
yes.
But I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I liked Scream 6. I mean, here's the skinny. If you like the other Screams, you'll like this. If you don't like the other Screams, I don't think this really does anything different. And the change of scenery doesn't really matter when you bring every character into the new scenery, right? Like, it's the exact same thing then. But there are some cool things that that they did with it. This was a more violent Ghostface. So that made me excited, and that's so weird to say out loud. He's so violent, it made me excited. But no, I enjoyed the movie all the way through, and Jenna Ortega and Michelle, I can't think of her last name right. The lead character,
Samson, maybe, I don't remember.
No,
yeah.
it's Burr. It starts with a B, but they were dynamite. They were amazing. So
I think the total casting in this was actually dynamite. I think everybody in this did a phenomenal job.
It is my favorite Scream
by far
since Scream 1.
Yes, hands down.
So for what that's worth,
I agree.
it is a good Scream.
Yep, I agree.
But it's almost like a Final Destination for me at this point in time, where they're all like the exact same thing. But if you like it, you're like, hey, shit, throw it on. You know what I mean? And if you don't like it, it's just.
Now, I will say the beginning of this one was a completely different throw off than what they've ever. I'm not going with it. Trust me. I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it, but I'm just saying there's a lot to this that's a lot different than what they've done with the previous ones. So
the Samara Weaving's in the beginning, and I'm in love with her. So
yes.
So I'm not.
Kirk, you don't like the Screams.
No,
right?
So I'm not a Scream fan at all. So I see the Scream franchise very similar to the Fast and Furious franchise. The Fast and Furious just pumped out movies a little bit faster than Scream did. Scream was like, we'll take a break for 10 years or how many years there between 4 and 5. But it's the same cut by numbers, same characters. I don't want to knock it too much because I know it's a huge. I mean, I think it's made more money than any of the other slashers, probably combined for that matter. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I've never caught the itch.
And this one, they just announced opening weekend. I think it was $45 million is the highest grossing Scream movie of all time.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
I mean with modern age and stuff like that, like movies will make more than they did 20 years ago, right? Like that's always going to happen.
Here's what I appreciate. Here's what I appreciate. I like to see the movie do well, right? Because it helps horror.
In general,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm a big
Absolutely.
college football fan. When Ohio State, when USC, when all these other big brands do well, it helps college football. So when it comes to horror movies, when these bigger brands do well, guess what happens? More horror comes out.
Very true.
I appreciate it.
Very true.
So I guess I'll segue into me. I guess next, because of the Scream 6 thing here, but not a whole lot to talk about this week. I did have a Jenna Ortega week because I did see Scream 6, and I finished up Wednesday on Netflix, which is horror adjacent, right? Like it's and Kirk, the same thing that you were just talking about. Like I want to support as much horror on Netflix because I want to see it do really well, because obviously there will be more horror that keeps, coming and coming and coming.
So did you finish it on Wednesday?
It's a terrible joke, and maybe I did. I don't know. I don't remember what day I finished it, but the wife and I have been watching it sporadically. Just because we have a bunch of different things that we watch, but we finished it. It's already been renewed for season 2, so I'm very excited. And this is kind of like a dark. I mean, it's campy, it's teeny bop, at times and stuff like that. But I enjoyed it, and it was it's really good. But yeah, it was like Jenna Ortega week, and realistically, that's all I'm gonna talk about this week. So Kirk, I'll kick it over to you. Anything else you get in?
Yeah, I didn't really get anything too much this week. I was watching Friday the 13th, obviously. But something that I watched recently was the Knock at the Cabin. Recently just came out. I think it's about a month old now. Have either of you watched that yet?
Yeah, we went to the theater and saw it.
Okay.
About 3 weeks ago.
That's kind of horror-ish, horror light, horror M. Night Shyamalan. Like, I don't know where to put that. It's about the end of the world, so there's something there.
I think it's thriller. Yeah, it's suspense thriller more than anything. But I'm with you. M. Night Shyamalan, I automatically think horror, right? Like you just think horror with him. I don't know why.
Not necessarily. I mean, a lot of his movies are. I mean, except for Devil, like most of his movies, I think are more have that.
Right, they're more suspense, thriller.
Yeah.
Where would you put The Sixth Sense? I think that goes into horror.
No.
I see dead people.
I'd keep that with suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's some gray space. It's not defined lines. There's definitely grayed out lines.
Jason is very fine line of, and this is not horror. This is horror. I'm with you, Kirk. Where there's like 50
there's
types
elements
of horror.
There's elements.
Yeah. So
it's not...
back to Knock at the Cabin. Like I liked it. I liked it a lot. I have zero idea how to rank that movie though. I don't have zero idea how to score it. Like
we scored it.
It's like a 6.5, right?
Yeah, in the 6s.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd probably be on board with it. I mean, it's shot very well. It's acted amazing. The screenplay's great. It's just like something in there is missing, and I have no idea what it is.
Well, it's horror, but
we'll just talk about it as a movie in general then.
and I think you're waiting because it's M. Night Shyamalan. You're waiting for things to go
the twist
in some different things, and it really doesn't in this one. But I agree with you. I thought the acting's great. I was glued to my seat of like, how is this going to end? What is going to happen? What is the why? Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of I think M. Night Shyamalan came out like a firecracker, and then I think he had a bunch of just duds. The Village is one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen.
Oh, The Village is not a bad movie at all.
But I think I'd say personally, I think it's horrendous. But I thought Split was amazing. I thought Knock at the Cabin's good. I think he's on his arc back up of doing some. I even liked Old. A lot of people didn't like Old. I liked Old.
And personally, Kirk, I think I agree with you what you're saying about something is missing. And me personally, like I love the apocalyptic feel of the movie. It's an apocalyptic movie.
For sure.
I think I would have liked to see more of that. More outside of the cabin, more of what's going on in the outside of the world. More of like.
Well, I'll disagree with you there because I like the small feel of the big event. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. What is it? 3 and then 4. So 7 total people that we're really engaged with. Right? It's there's so many of these movies, and it's really a big fail of all the superhero movies. Where everything's the end of the universe, end of the galaxy, end of the multiverse, end of the something. This was they took a end of the apocalypse movie and made it about 7 people and kind of really brought you into their lives. They showed the 2 gentlemen why they're, kind of frustrated with the earth, why they're frustrated with people, and you could really feel the 4 people that were coming were very, very scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like the one thing that I know Mike and I talked about that we really liked about that was, you got Dave Bautista, from the WWE, big mother, and he's playing the more subtle, the more fatherly, like subtle person, and then you've got, like some of these other characters that with like very small personalities with large personalities, so they kind of reversed a lot of these roles. And I thought that was brilliant how they did that because, you see Dave Bautista and you're like, oh my God, he can rip somebody's head off with like a flick of a nail. And, he's like this, like, how are you doing today kind of person. And that was just, it blew my mind. And I thought he did a phenomenal job with that.
He's a school teacher. Yeah.
That's his wheelhouse though. That he plays that one character great.
Mm-hmm. He does.
Yep.
He does. So. Cool.
I will say, going to the theater these last couple weeks, I've now seen, because I'm somebody that avoids all trailers at all costs, because I don't want to know anything. They give way too much away in the trailer. But Evil Dead Rise, watching that trailer now a couple times, April 21st, cannot get here fast enough. Right. That looks like it's going to be everything and more. So I'm
it's the same thing
with
what you said with the Scream, taking it into a different element. It looks like instead of a cabin out in the woods, now they're going to be in this high rise. So it's
but it's also been when did the Evil Dead remake come out? 2012, 2014, maybe something like that.
I think this is a cabin. It is a cabin in the woods. They're not in a high rise.
I thought it was in a building.
No, this is a high rise. It looked like it's definitely a high rise.
Well, no, because when we saw the preview,
elevators.
Yeah, but when we saw the preview the other day, it was that like triangular looking cabin that they were walking into.
I didn't see that, but
Yeah.
I believe it's in at least in some part of it looks like it's in a high rise.
Maybe.
But anyway, it's been almost like at least 10 years or something since the last Evil
2013,
Dead. So like
10 years.
Yeah, so it's time. You know what I mean? Next to Friday the 13th, which we're going to be talking about here in a minute. This is that other big, one that hasn't had anything. We've had recent Leatherfaces, we've had recent Hellraisers, Chucky.
We
Michael
need
Myers.
another Nightmare on Elm Street too. It's been a long time. For that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Freddy's actually. Yeah, that's actually.
Freddy's been dead for a long time.
Yes, but and then I'm not sure if we were talking about Jen Ortega. Just talk about some stuff. She is looks like she's going to be cast, or she's in discussions to be cast as the daughter of Winona Ryder in Beetlejuice 2.
Yep, I saw that.
So that's exciting, just to get another Beetlejuice and have all the main characters come back. But
Michael Keaton gonna reprise?
Yeah.
Yes, yep. Michael Keaton will be back. And then I posted this to you guys the other day too. I'm really excited. They're talking about doing a Haunt Part 2.
The poster's already out.
Yes.
So yeah, I cannot wait. Kirk,
Me
did
too.
you ever see Haunt?
I never saw the original Haunt. That
Oh, my Lord, dude.
So good.
Intriguing.
So good.
Get on it, Kirk.
Well, maybe next week that'll be what I've seen last week. We'll see.
Yeah, there
We'll
you
see.
go.
That's your homework assignment.
That's my homework assignment.
It's worth the watch.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we reviewed that. I think that one during holiday or during a holiday
we did.
Halloween season.
It was
I put that
last
on the
year.
wheel.
We just
I
we
put
just
it
did
on
it
the
last
wheel
year.
at one.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Cannot wait for part 2.
Yes.
What else do you guys got that you want to talk about before we get to the main feature?
I'm excited to dive into this movie. This is another one of those childhood favorites. The whole series, but Part 7 was just, so 88 came out. I was 7 years old. Probably snuck somewhere and watched it. Who knows? Like, I saw it when I was pretty young, so I remember it very vividly.
Well, I think then all that's left is putting 30 seconds on the clock, and let's get over to that main feature.
And now, on with the show.
All right, so as previously discussed, we took a trip to 1988 and a little Jason Voorhees action with Part 7, The New Blood. And Jason, this was your victory.
Yeah.
I know we've all seen this probably multiple, times at this point. So I think all that's left is, and let me get it teed up here. Put 30 seconds on the clock, and I'm excited to see what kind of synopsis, because last week was one of the worst synopsis I've ever heard. So this is your redemption
Redemption week, baby.
It was so bad. We put a new rule in for this week. That's how bad last week was.
So Kirk, what is the new rule?
So we're going to have a vote. So whoever has to do the synopsis, if they can't pull their weight on the synopsis, we'll have a vote. And whatever the vote is, we might have to go to the back of the box. So it's either synopsis or the back of the box.
Back of the box is kind of like it's like a walk of shame. If you have to go to the back of the box because I said box, the back of the box.
Grammar, please.
It means you fumble the ball at the 1 yard line. So Jason,
Yes.
I got 30 seconds on the clock, and I'm ready to start it when you do.
Okay, so years after Tommy Jarvis puts Jason at the bottom of the lake, little Tina resurrects Jason after killing her father years back, so she's back with her mom, Bad News Cruise. Jason comes out of the lake, starts killing everybody with the house from next door. She falls in love with the boy next door. Everybody pretty much dies. You get to see Jason's face in glory, and he blows up at the end. The end.
Wow, so that was exactly about 29 seconds. But, Kirk, was it good enough?
Listen, if I'm comparing this to this movie, I think he did a great job when it comes to telling the story. So that I'll give you a thumbs up on that one. You get my approval. We do not have to go to the back of the box.
All right, I'm going to give you a thumbs-ish. Like, it's like this. It's not all the way up, but it's enough that we're not going to have to go back of the box.
It was redemption.
So congratulations on...
Now you can put your notepad down. I know you've been practicing in the mirror. It's
No. This one I just did off of, this is...
Kirk, he gives himself daily affirmation. I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. That's what he says every
Don't know
day
what to do
in
with my
front of the
hands.
mirror. Yes. But we're also going to do another segment here to kind of kick us off here. So it's kicking it with Kirk. I don't know what we're going to call this. Kicking it with Captain.
Kicking it with the captain. Kicking it with Kirk. It doesn't matter. Fun facts with Kirk. Whatever you want to call it.
FFK.
FFK. I love it. So, all right. So what I'm going to do here is I went through and did some extensive research, right? Not really. I Googled a few things. And I came up with some fun facts and some trivia type questions that I want to go through, and maybe we'll drum up some conversation. So this first one, it's kind of three in together, but I broke it apart into three separate ones. So let me get through all three of these. I want to hear you guys' take on this. So number one, so this movie was actually supposed to be Freddy vs. Jason. The pitch was that this was going to be Freddy vs. Jason. New Line turned it down, so they came to Freddy vs. Carrie was their original idea, and they took it away from Carrie. Obviously, they couldn't make that fit, and they came up with the telepathy thing. The other pitch that they had going on here, so these are three fun facts all about the pitch for this movie, was this was going to be Jason versus evil capitalism. So kind of tying back in with our last movie, The Stuff, right? It was supposed to be Jason versus the evil capitalist, right? That was one of the pitches that were thrown out there. So what would you guys have thought about having a Freddy versus Jason in their primes and not this kind of later version that we got?
So, believe it or not, I kind of read about that too. So I've actually put some thought to my head a little bit about that. Honestly, I think so. I think when Freddy vs. Jason finally did come to the big screen, I thought, it gave the fans what they wanted. But personally, I think there was so much missing from it. So I think having Freddy vs. Jason back in 1988, when you had Paramount and New Line at their biggest moments of these franchises. Which obviously this is the reason why it never happened, because the two franchises couldn't work together because of the two movie studios, being two separate movie studios, I should say. I just think, Kane Hodder versus Robert Englund would have been the ultimate Freddy versus Jason. I think that's where it went wrong with the new one, or with the actual one, I should say.
Right.
I like I love Freddy vs. Jason. I think it's an amazing movie. I wish there was more cross-pollination. Would I have loved to have it in 1988? Of course, because I think if it would have happened in 1988, I think we would have seen more in the 90s, and people would have taken more chances, and we would have had more from then. Kirk, what do you think?
Yeah, no doubt. I love the Freddy Jason we got, Freddy vs. Jason we did get, but we're talking about two legends in their prime. To get that movie would have been huge, right? And I feel like the movie we did get, as much as I did like it, it felt like aging boxers, right? It was at the end of their career, and nobody had the right hook anymore. But
it wasn't even Kane Hodder
wasn't even in it.
It was Ken Kersinger.
No, I get it. It's the guy we saw at Spookadla. He was there,
yes,
remember?
Yes.
So yeah, I know Kane wasn't in there. And one of the other fun facts, number 6, actually, this is the first appearance of Kane Hodder. So this is the first time he was in the movie. And to get this role, he ate a handful of worms. So that was his big thing he did to try to get this role. It took a handful of worms and ate it in the process.
Well, it worked.
It definitely worked. So
he also got the lead role in How to Eat Fried Worms, but he decided to go with this one instead.
Well, the worms he actually So the director, John Carl Buckler, he actually saw Kane eating worms on another movie he did, and that's what brought him into it. Yep. So yeah, that's just Kane. And then I don't know if you have this one written down too. I just want to throw this one in there because it freaked me out when I read it. Actually, you know what? This is your segment now, so you go ahead and continue. You probably have it.
He literally said, "I am the captain now," and just said, "Get the fuck out the way."
That was hilarious.
Facts have always been my thing, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know what? I've got 11 here. Some of them join together. So if we have some after the fact, it'll definitely be yours. I might not have it. Who knows? So number 4, this movie took under 6 months to make. So they hired the director in January, and it was in the first theaters, not nationwide, by May. 6 months to total do this production of this movie. And it's going to be in my rating section, but they had to resubmit this movie 9 times back to the whoever
Motion
rates
Picture
them,
Association.
the Motion Picture
MPAA,
Ratings FPA, to get it rated to an R because they kept getting X because of all the blood and gore in this movie. So they had to remove a ton of that. So number 5, your main girl was about to be Carrie Noonan. I don't know if you guys know who Carrie Noonan is, but she was
6.
She was in episode 6 where she got killed, and the casting director, the actual director, the writers, no one picked it up until she accidentally let it slip that she died in the previous movie. But she was going to be your main girl in this one. But
she got it really bad in 6 too.
Yep. Number 6 was going to be the Kane Hodder one, so we're going to move on past that one. So number 7. Original screenwriter was fired for asking for too much money. So the original screenwriter wrote most of this movie. They fired him because he wanted too much money. The whole budget was $3.5 million. They brought in another team to change his screenwriting just enough to where they can claim it as their own. Number 8, gore cuts. So back to what I was saying earlier. They had to resubmit this thing 9 times and remove stuff from the kills so they could get this down to an R rating. So major hurts. An unrated version of this would be amazing.
Which is also why maybe we don't want to see a Freddy versus Jason from 1988, if that's the case.
Touche.
So
the sleeping bag scene was actually inspired by the screenwriter, the guy who came in and fixed, because he had fantasies of doing that to his sister, and he says it sticks because everybody had that urge to do that to their older brother and or sister.
So real quick though, with the sleeping bag scene, the thing that they did cut out with that, the original take was he actually hits her against the tree like 7 times.
Yes. And they actually had it pretty stuffed full and heavy to where it looked like a human body, and then canisters of blood in there. Mm-hmm. And Kane Hodder's so strong that he got that thing up and whipped it across that tree 7 different times. Yeah. So that was very, very impressive. Let me see here. Number 10. This movie set the record for the longest uninterrupted screen burn for Hollywood. So the scene where she douses him with gasoline, and then the little fire thing shoots fire at him, and he's burning. That's the longest on-screen burn for Hollywood in Hollywood history. And then the last, I think you kind of slightly made a joke about it here, Mike, but the title, The New Blood, nobody has any idea why it's titled The New Blood. The director, writers, nobody does.
I do.
Jason does. Let's hear it.
I actually found something and watched on this for that. So
I couldn't find it. Okay. Even the director doesn't know. So you might
I was to say, you know something more than the director.
So
let's hear it.
The New Blood comes from this. So all right, so you got Friday the 13th, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you've got 3 different protagonists in each of those movies, correct? Then you get to 4, 5, and 6. It's the Tommy Jarvis era. So he's your main protagonist through 4, 5, and 6. So now you're going to part 7, and Tina comes in. This is your New Blood. The original premise was supposed to be her in 7, 8, and 9. And I guess it just did not work with the telekinesis thing. So they actually made it a completely different story for part 8. That's why it was the New Blood.
It sounds more like a fan theory, but I dig it.
It is 100% a fan theory if the director didn't know, but it's a very quality fan theory.
Very quality. You can sell me on it, man. I'm absolutely sold. All right, so this next thing, I got a few little trivia questions. All right, so without looking, what do you think the body count was?
16.
17.
So I'm pretty sure Jason looked it up. It was 16 on the nose.
So I'm counting. I had 15 deaths plus the dad plus Jason.
Jason
if you count
doesn't
Jason. Die. Technically, he does. I mean, at the end.
That is a very gray area. I probably have to go back and count because
I wrote them all down.
Her dad is killed by her.
Brought back to life. And
Jason's just kind of like pulled under, which he already was there, so he was more put to sleep than he was hibernation.
Yeah, I guess I literally wrote down all the deaths, and I wrote down 15 deaths plus dad plus Jason. Yep. So I guess that's where I went wrong. So
okay, next one here, and these are the last kind of 2 that go together. So the budget of this movie was $3.5 million. What do you think the box office was Now remember, it's 1988, but what do you believe the box office was of this movie?
I'm gonna
6 million.
I'm gonna go with 10.2 million.
19.1 million. Okay.
Wow.
And that's opposed to Nightmare 4, which came out this exact same year, made 49.3 million. So the team up movie would have been huge.
But I
it
will
did come out
say,
number one. It did come out number one its first weekend, but faded fast.
Dream Warriors was 3, wasn't it?
Yes. Dream Master was 4.
And Dream Warrior might be the greatest.
It's a sequel to a very good one. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be the greatest Freddy movie. So part 4, you'd think there'd be more hype than part 7 of Friday. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yep.
There's something there. But apparently Horror did very well back then. So
Well, 88 was a big year. A lot of big, like, you had, Phantasm 2 also came out that year. You had Child's Play
series.
came out. That's when Child's Play was born. So a lot of big horror came out in 1988. It was a great year.
All right, Jason, what was your fun fact? Did I capture it or did I miss it?
You missed it.
Perfect. Then this works out.
You missed it. There's actually two. That I'm really excited about. So the very beginning monologue, with the narrator talking through, like,
Yes.
This is obviously the last time you're ever going to see that in a Friday the 13th movie. But the person that actually was the voice was Walt Gorney, who was Crazy Ralph from Friday the 13th Part 1 and Part 2.
Huh, okay.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
At the gas station, right?
No.
Don't-
Crazy Ralph.
Wasn't
There's
he the
a
one,
death
"Don't go"?
curse here.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my second one was Kane Hodder was actually joking that so I guess his place that he was staying was 1.2 miles down the road from where they were filming. So he used to take the woods. He would cut through the woods to get to the cabin that he was staying in. Well, he wouldn't take his makeup off because, it was just too much to do before he walked. So I guess he was walking back to his cabin, and some guy actually came up to him, and Kane Hodder's like, I didn't break character. He's like, the guy was being stupid, so I didn't break character. But he goes, but the guy says, like, so are you part of that movie that they're making down there? And Kane's like, in my head, I'm like, and what the fuck do you think? So I just stared at him. And then I lounged at him, and the guy ran. He goes, he ran so fast, and he goes. So the next day he was with the director, with John Carl Buckler, and he goes, and John Carl was like, oh, by the way, the police called. They're going to be coming up here. I guess some guy got spooked last night or something. You didn't happen to know anything about that, would you? And Kane's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Great.
That's funny.
Great.
So yeah, I was glad I at least got that one.
But those are my fun facts. So I
Yes.
appreciate Jason for adding in there. I thought it was a little value to be added.
Do you want me to throw out a fun fact?
Hell yeah.
I don't have one. So let's just go.
So you've
to-
never had a
okay.
fun fact.
I don't have non-fun.
Next week you got to come
or-
with one.
Yes.
I will do my best. But anything I can find, most likely you will already have as like number 4. But Jay.
Yeah.
So what's good about this movie?
I mean, let's hit it right off the rip. Kane fucking Hodder. I mean, this is the birth of the greatest person next to C.J. Graham from Part 6 to play, and Ted White from 4 to play Jason Voorhees. And
Can't say the greatest person and then name off two
And
other
then,
people.
and then name multiple.
no. I said
Steam out of that. Kane motherfucking harder, bro.
Yeah.
And Jim Bob and Joseph.
He's the greatest one since Part 6.
no. I'm just saying. No.
Sorry, Jason. Sorry,
I'm saying
Jason.
Kane Hodder is the best, but I'm just saying those two were very, had a very good reputation as well. But
Yes.
excuse me. Anyway, but Kane Hodder. I mean, this is the birth of the true Jason Voorhees. Like his body, like with how muscular he is, like
The breathing.
the movements. He said he studied Jason's character, and he actually came up with a lot of rules too. That he did not want the the directors to cross, which with killing animals and children and things like that, because he's like, he goes, Jason was a child when he drowned, so in his mind he's like, Jason is still a child in his mind. So I liked his rules and how he but the way he played this character, like I was pissed not to see him portraying Jason versus Freddy and so on. So that's why. So
I will say, just to piggyback off that, obviously Kane Hodder is a fucking legend and the greatest Jason Voorhees. But this is maybe, I can't remember all the different Jason Voorhees looks, but this is probably my favorite Jason Voorhees look. Not when the mask comes off, but with the mask on, with the chain around him. Just his vertebrae are showing, his ribs are showing, like, because he's kind of like hollowed out at this point. Although his skeleton is the size of a fucking house, apparently. His teeth showing from the side. You know what I mean? Like, it is just. This is the Jason Voorhees look. I think this is an amazing look, and it's my number one thing on the good.
By far, and I like how they actually trimmed the mask down in this one too. So the mask is it's the original mask, but they trimmed it down to make his face so you can see more of his face, which what you just talked about with the teeth and things like that. So I thought that was freaking great, like great concept to that. Like I loved how they did that. What about you, Kirk? What do you got?
Yeah, but they with that mask trim down, they did leave all the injuries from the previous ones.
Yep.
If you check it out, like there's a scar across his head, a Corey Feldman, all those scars are still on his face. The boat, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Obviously, I have a number one on the good here in capital letters, Kane Hodder. So we're all on the same page right there. You close your eyes, you think Jason Voorhees. That's the first name that comes to your mind. That's the one, if you're having a bad day and you're not remembering other people, you can always remember Kane Hodder. Like, he is, and it's funny, it didn't take till 7, right? Obviously the first one doesn't count. So 6 movies before we had the quintessential. So Kane Hodder is definitely the look. I like it with his face, the mask off. So
yeah,
this is the best reveal that we've had in any of the movies. Number 2 probably being in Manhattan. And this one still doesn't even, that one doesn't even hold a candle to this one.
4.
It's so much better.
I'll go with 4. 4 when Corey Feldman rips his mask off at the end when the knife goes through, or the machete goes through his head.
I like 2 as well.
Yeah, with the hair.
The burlaps. Yeah, the burlaps. Yeah, he looks more like a country hick type.
Yes,
thing,
he does. Yes.
To add to the good, I'll add to it, and we'll kind of swing it back through. Obviously, one of the iconic slasher movie scenes, the sleeping bag scene, right?
Oh, yes.
They recreated that scene in Jason X, right?
Yep.
Obviously, picking her up by the sleeping bag and whacking her up against a tree. That it doesn't get too much better than that in slasher movies. Period.
It's a premium kill, and we've now seen it not only in Friday the 13th twice, but in other movies like Jay. I think Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
Yep.
I believe they did it.
They did it.
There's a couple other ones that and every time I see it, I still am like, oh, it's such a cool, it's such a good kill. But to see it in its infancy here, it's kind of like, all right, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, and it's a shame that Paramount lost all the additional footage from this movie that was originally taken out. The only thing that they never did lose, and it was in, I don't remember which documentary I have maybe it was His Name Was Jason. It's one of those. But they actually show the extended version of the sleeping bag, and you can see him.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, he whacks her against a tree like 7 times, and you just see blood just splattering everywhere. I mean, it was gruesome.
I'll tell you this. So I've seen some outtakes from this. I don't remember where I saw it. YouTube. It's been years since I've seen it, but it had some kills in this movie that would have rivaled any other movie. So when the doctor dies, when he hits him with that weed whacker or whatever spinning blade thing, that's actually extended. He gets into his guts and stuff like that, and starts throwing them all over the place. And then one of the guys gets their head squished. I've seen that one where he actually
Ben,
he turns it almost into a little baseball, squishes it down. So there were some really good gore, but they had to cut those. So
well, it takes it out of my bad, because that was one of my bad was that
it can stay in your bad because it's not in there.
All the stuff is like off screen for the there's 15 deaths, and I appreciate that, but you see the aftermath of the
16.
death. You literally see no death. I'm saying of Jason, or Jason kills 15 people. So, and they're all. You see him swing, you see it cut away. You see, somebody with, a hatchet in their face, and it cuts away really quickly, and then that's it. And then you see him, in whatever display Jason leaves him in,
Yeah, you talk about Russell, when Russell on the beach, he gets the axe to the face.
And
they don't show it till after the fact, and it's like... Oh,
Kirk was just talking about Dr. Cruz getting the weed whacker. They show him, going up to him with it, and then they, show a little bit of the aftermath.
His
they
eyes
don't show
crossing.
anything. Yeah, they don't show anything. So,
ironically, you want to know what one of my favorite deaths in this movie is? And it's none of the ones that were just listed, but it was when the mom died. Just because she was so fucking annoying that I was just, rooting for her. Her and Dr. Cruz were, the two that had to go. And when they both died, it was thank goodness.
You're taking away from my bad list here. We're still on good, so
sorry.
Let's not get ahead here onto Tina's mom yet.
Well, I'll say my next good.
Yes,
this is a funny one. All right. So I love the typical tropes that you get in this movie. This has all the typical tropes except for one. Now you have a sci-fi nerd with a mullet. What the fuck is up with that?
It was 1988. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what other comment. It was 1988. That was kind of cool, I guess.
I will say it was if anything, it was a creative way to bring Jason back. How do you bring him back from down there? All right, let's. And it's interesting to hear this Carrie thing. I never heard that, but all right, let's. I was just the whole supernatural vibe, which I'll get to, in another section here in a minute, but was kind of But I thought it was a interesting way to bring him back, because we had not seen anything supernatural with Jason. It was all just the normal run of the mill stuff. So no, I'll put that in the good of at least.
Well, part
something.
6, he got brought back to life with the pole in his stomach from the cemetery with the lightning bolt. Yep. So that was pretty supernatural too.
I guess that's true as well.
6 on, he was all brought back. Yeah, basically part 6 on, every time he came back was supernaturalistic because he was a zombie. But no, that Carrie versus Jason dynamic is pretty legit. It's I did like that. With the telekinesis and stuff like that. I think I want to give props to Lar Park Lincoln, who played Tina. She's one of my favorite final girls in the entire Friday the 13th series, to be honest with you. I love the fact that she's a 25-year-old playing a 17-year-old, so I think she did great with that. They did the makeup perfectly.
1980s,
like
right?
Yeah, but
they still do that today.
They still do that, right?
Yeah, she's by far one of my favorite final girls, and the dynamic that she had, which was weird with Kevin Blair, who played Nick, because they hated each other during filming of this movie. Their dynamic, through the movie, was really realistic and stuff like that. But
yeah, they were both really good. I like. She was definitely a good final girl.
Mm-hmm.
Another positive to throw out there was the practical effects on this one.
Yes.
How they got everything moving. The dock, how it moved. I mean, how easy it to do a shaky camera on that, or Jason's mask flying off, or all the telepathy stuff, right? Just the simple tricks. And we know how they, the matchbook, we know that was a magnet underneath, but it worked, right? It's the charm of the practical effect. And I said that word probably 10 times in the last podcast, but it hit home again with this movie because it has those simple effects.
Right. And also, too, going to that scene when the mask rips off is when the wire comes down from the ceiling and, wraps up around his neck to try to hang him. I all that was great. It's just it worked, and I love seeing no CGI. I don't mind a little CGI, but I can't stand CGI compared to the practical effects. And that's something you're getting in the 80s is practical. So that's one reason why I like to always take my trips back there. But I think this movie, Kirk, you hit it 100%. The practical effects in this movie were phenomenal.
Absolutely. So my big 3 positives were Kane Hodder, practical effects, sleeping bag, Jason's look. Those are my 4 big likes.
Yeah, I'm actually out of good. I didn't. This is one of those movies where there's a lot of middle to average stuff that it's not that I can't throw in good, and I'm out of good. So Jay, what else do you
I'm ready to roll.
All right, so let's transition over to the bad. I'm just going to kick us off with just a nitpick. Was there a requirement that everybody had to tuck their shirt in? Because every character in every scene, no matter what the outfit was or whether they should have it, everybody had their shirts tucked in. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out
80s?
there.
I don't know.
I guess.
Here's the thing. Now I have to rewatch it because I need to catch this because I did not catch it going through the movie.
Go watch everybody. Everybody at the party has got their shirt tucked in. Everybody, I think one person has their shirt tucked into sweatpants. It's like it does not matter what it is.
Not everybody has their shirt tucked in.
Who does it?
Jason.
No, when they
that doesn't count.
well, yes, he has it tucked into his vertebrae. You just can't see.
Would it be hilarious if Jason got out of the water and did a quick tuck into his pants real quick?
He's like, shit.
This fucking director.
No, what do you guys got bad?
All right, so I want to tell one, and we kind of touched on it already, but that whatever when you look back at the old money, whatever that is, what it's called at the beginning of the movie, I call it a time filler. When they go and rehash all the old movies, they show the scenes. It's like, all right, we need 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Monologue.
What was the difference between Part 6 and Part 7? Like, was it a year
10.
difference or
10? Yeah,
so 10 months
Years.
between.
I don't think between the movies, but between the
Well, it was 2
events
years
of-
for the actual movies being made, but in the Friday the 13th timeline,
No, I'm not talking about timeline. I'm saying in actual movies because they did a
86
recap.
was 6 and then 88.
Okay, because they did a recap like it was like the last one happened so long ago nobody would remember, and I didn't look up to see when the last one came out.
Well, the monologue had parts of 4, 6,
1. I saw 1.
Yeah, 4 and 6 were in there. They were all kind of in there.
Basically,
I agree
if
with
you're
you,
going
Kurt.
in to see a movie like this, you've seen the previous movies. They're throwing it at you. It just, anytime a movie does this, it just like, all right, we're already starting on the wrong foot. Like, I'm ready to start criticizing this movie when they put those time fillers in. So I had to get that one out there. The other one I have to get out there, Jason, you already kind of took it too. I'm thinking about letting you have it, but I'm going to steal it. Tina's mom. When she was on the screen, I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't look at anything else. The way she ran, her hair, just everything.
Tina's mom has got it going on. I'm kidding.
Stacy's mom.
I'm kidding.
Jackass.
I no shit, obviously, but it was a joke that obviously went over one person on this podcast head. The mom was annoying, but not as annoying as Dr. Cruz. So, to be honest with you, every character in this movie is annoying.
Yeah.
I hate the character development of everybody in this movie. The one couple that just happened to have a machete out in the woods. There's no like build up like, hey, let's just show two random people, they're about to have sex and they have a machete. Jason kills them and now he has a machete.
Come here, you big hunk of a man.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid, and then it's like they couldn't come up with a better way for him to get a machete. Like, all right, so let's just do this real quick, and now he has a machete. Like,
but we had a good death out of it.
None of these characters we care about.
We had
Not
two
a
good
single
deaths
one.
out of it, actually. We had two good deaths out of it. The sleeping bag, and then he got Jason put his hand through his heart.
So to your point,
those
Mike,
were good.
To your point, this movie feels very modular. Scene by scene.
Yeah, it's cookie cutter. It's
very
just,
modular. It's like somebody sat down and was like, all right, I want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. How do we connect those things?
Well, you know why.
you
I mean, Kirk, you said this earlier
months.
during. Yes, I was say you said this during your trivia or facts. This movie was made in 6 months. And the reason why they did that was because Part 6 came out in '86. This was the time where they were trying to put one out every year. Well, now we're in '88, so let's throw something together real quick and throw it out there. Because personally, I think and that's where I'll come in and say, I think a lot of the death scenes in this movie are kind of weak compared to what we could have had if it was X-rated, I guess, with some more of the MPAA ratings and stuff like that. So I know that's why they're weak, because we saw a lot of them dwindle down. But a lot of the...
I'm surprised in the 80s, though. Like, in the 80s, they got away with so much more than this in movies.
Well, you got to remember, the early 80s, MPAA wasn't really as hardcore as it was. This is late 80s. I mean, we're talking 88 now. This is the end of 88. This is October of 88.
I think by the end of the 80s, they had the radar on slasher movies. Like, they didn't know what to expect, and now they're focusing on it. So, without a doubt. It's too bad. But did you know Dr. Cruz was Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Yep.
I couldn't stop thinking of that.
And
every
also,
scene he's in.
Michael, the cousin that gets killed in the woods with the spike. That's William Butler, who was also he was one of the main stars in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. There's a whole swath of movies that he was a star of.
So instead of New Blood, this should have been called Weekend at Jason's. Is that what we're saying?
Oh, rename it. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, I'm not saying it's the rename. I'm just saying, Jay,
Or camping at Jason's.
Camping last weekend.
They have houses. They don't need to camp.
Death Weekend at Jason's.
Yeah.
Jay, what do you got? What else do you got on bad? I got a couple more.
One big one that I really want to bring up, and I get it. A lot of the storyline of the Friday the 13th series didn't really follow it a lot of the time, but Jason's biggest fear is water. Okay, Freddy was fire, Jason is water. But you have part 6 and you have part 7, where Jason is literally like, I'm gonna go for a swim because I'm gonna kill some people in the water. So I don't know, maybe he got over his fear from being like down in the lake for 10 years or something, but like that made no sense to me to throw that in the timeline when he went in and killed Sandra, when he drowned her and pulled her under like Jaws.
And he made it there fast. He was like on land, and then he's right next to her in the water in literally like a blink of an eye. So
that
as
scene
fast
made me
as we
laugh.
think he is on land,
yes,
he's faster in water.
That scene made me laugh.
Yeah, it did. And but to me, it's like, the whole premise of Jason Voorhees is he's afraid of water.
Yep.
But yet,
I don't think continuity was their biggest importance by number 7, but yeah, I agree with you.
But they did the same thing in 6 too.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
They're at Crystal Lake. That was the continuity. Which, by the way,
and then part 8, I mean, he's in the ocean.
So, they're all there for cousin, or well, the one guy's cousin, but for Michael's surprise party. Michael never fucking shows up, and nobody goes looking for him ever until like a day and a half later.
The one guy starts opening up his gifts.
Yeah, like it is just crazy to me that you're all there to celebrate, and nobody goes to look for him. And by the way, it said Camp Crystal Lake 5 miles where they broke down. They keep going back to like that car wreck and then the houses, which are apparently 5 miles away, in a blink of an eye. Like anytime somebody runs, they're automatically there, and then they run back. Like you're talking 5 miles each way every single time they're running. It's not physically possible.
Yeah. So my note on here on my page, I got a big star next to it. I don't have it near negatives or positives, but I put Jason's teleportation game was very strong.
I think some of the other people had a teleportation game.
And for a zombie that has more bones showing than clothing, I mean, dude can run or can get around pretty quickly too. So I mean, you gotta
running. He's teleporting. We all know that. It's lore, right?
And I also want to point out Nick, our hero of this. So Nick loves Tina in this. Like they have an immediate connection, whatever it is. Apparently not off screen, but on screen. But there's a scene where she's like telling him. Now he just met this girl, and she's like, "Yeah, I've been in a mental hospital. I just got out." And then she starts going, "People are out to kill me," and "Oh my God," and this and that. And he, like, I think most people at that point in time, like, they don't know her that well. They go, "Hey, I appreciate the time. I gotta go." He's like fully like in on it. It doesn't make any sense. Like if you just met somebody and they're like, I just got out of a mental institution, I think somebody's killing me, I think I have psychic abilities, and just going through this gauntlet, I don't think you'd be like, cool, let's see how this is gonna fucking turn out. And everybody's gonna die, which she tells him, and then he's like, yeah, let's ride this shit out. It just made me laugh. It literally just made me laugh.
For sure. I mean, I'm the exact same way. The last thing I have written down here for my negatives was, and I know it's a positive for Jason for some reason, is the telepathy thing.
I hated it.
Like, when you have a final battle with one person just staring at the other, it's like the men who stared at goats, George Clooney. Like, she's just staring at him and things are happening. Like, you could and we might talk about this later, but just give the girl a baseball bat, and it fixes so many issues.
And she goes from I don't know how to move a fucking book of matches to Final Destination, where she's literally like getting ropes and around his neck and all this shit. Come
emotion.
on,
You're saying emotion?
Yeah.
No, I disagree. So, me personally, I like the telekinesis thing only because think about it. I mean, Carrie is probably one of the best Stephen King novels of all time. And the original movie, Sissy Spacek, was a great movie. They mimicked her as Sissy Spacek. I mean, they made her look like Sissy Spacek in this movie, which is even more funny. But I like the concept because it's never been done before. So this was technically, if you think about it, the first of the verses. This was Carrie versus Jason, technically in a small way. They couldn't do Freddy versus Jason, so this is the second idea that they had. So, and I think it worked for the movie. And personally, did a lot of things make sense? No. And personally, I think she was fucking around with Dr. Cruz. I think she could have done anything that she wanted to do the entire time, but she knew exactly the kind of person that he was. He was evil. It was like evil upon evil in this movie. It was Dr. Cruz and Jason Voorhees.
See, Jason, I feel like you just threw me you're a salesperson at heart, man. You threw me a really solid pitch, trying to bring me into your telepathy game, but I'm still not buying, my friend. I'm still not buying. I got to vote that one.
But it was good, right?
It was a good pitch.
I'm not buying it. Just like I'm not buying that it's been how long since her dad died? 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. But he pops out of that water looking like a fucking supermodel.
No, 10 years since Tommy Jarvis put him on the bottom of the lake.
Okay, but how long had, I mean...
Well, she's 17. So remember, she's playing a 17-year-old. She was 9 or 10 when this happened.
Okay, so let's say it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
He pops out, and he looks like you or I.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying it's not that full 10 years.
Fun fact, the original cut, he is zombified with skin falling off, looked all roughed up, and the director didn't want it because he didn't want to make him look like a zombie like Jason. They wanted the more happy ending.
So I think all of my nitpicks and all my bad really
we need
just
a good, a bad, and a nitpick section.
MPA fucked us in this movie.
We need a nitpick section because all my shit is really nitpicks at this point in time. Besides the telepathy.
My bads are cringe dialogue, the time filler at the beginning, Tina's mom, and for the 6 months it took to make this movie, they did pretty good, but it feels like it's a movie that was made in 6 months.
Well,
by far. Absolutely agree with you.
I'm out of bad.
I'm
you guys
out.
Got anything else?
I'm out.
All right,
I'll think of some here in a minute, but you know.
Well, let's get in the ratings while you're thinking. You don't know what. All right, so for our rating scale this week, we're making some changes here. So we are doing a 0 to 2 rating scale, and it will be on kills/gore, effects, scare/creep factor, story, and then we're adding acting.
Well, I was trying to think of some good one, but I think we are going to go with the sleeping bags.
All right, so we're doing just sleeping bag or sleeping bag against the tree.
We're gonna do a sleeping bag against the tree.
All right, so we're doing a 0 to 2 sleeping bag against the tree scale. So we can only give something a 0, a 1, or a 2. So Jason, it is your movie, so you get to kick us off. Kill/gore. Where do you have us?
I'm in the middle. I'm a 1. And here's why I'm a 1. MPAA destroyed a lot of what these kills were going to be, which would have, even if they kept a couple of these, like I know the sleeping bag one we talked about earlier, Ben, when he gets his head crushed, I know the original, I mean, literally, when he got his head crushed, it was like to the point where Jason almost had was playing patty cake with his hands. So, I mean, a lot of those would have been great death scenes. So, fuck you, MPAA, but we got to go with 1 because of what we got.
All right, Kirk, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I agree with Jason 100%, so it has to be a 1. There is definitely a 2 out there. They just, the filmmakers wanted to make a 2. They just weren't allowed to make a 2. So what we got was pretty close to a 0 because we got a lot of cutaways. But I'll give them the 1. One good slam against that tree with that sleeping bag. But they definitely earn a 2, but we didn't get to see the 2.
all the exact same reasons. I'm a 1. Any movie that you give me 16 kills in it, I can't give a 0 to. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be there, even if they are all, for the most part, cutaways. But it also gave us the sleeping bag, and for that, you can't give it anything less. So I'm a 1. So, Kirk, that takes us to effects. What do you got?
Yeah, with the effects, so we got a $3.5 million budget. We have a lot of cool practical effects. I think that dock scene with the father was very, very cool. The reveal of Jason's face was very, very cool. How they did that, pulling the mask off, making the telepathy kind of work, or trying to make it work. It's a hard thing to do, but with that little bit of money, they did well. I gave it a 2 out of 2. 2 big old swings on a big old tree, just knocking the crap out of her.
So that comes to me, and I'm a 2 as well if you subtract 1 from it. So I'm a 1, and I don't know why I said it like that.
You guys can't see
1.
mine and Jason's face right now, but we're doing math, and Jason pulled out a calculator.
They're very perplexed. Well, yeah, 2 minus 1 is out of Jason's league, but I'm a 1. I hear what you're saying, and I think the practical effects to a certain point are good. Nothing moved me that well, and I do think it's a bit hokey, all the telepathy stuff, and when her dad's falling in, you could tell like that bridge is just like it looks like a ride at amusement park. So I'm a 1. Jay, what do you got?
You know what? I disagree with you, Mike. I agree with Kirk. I am a 2. 2 big-ass fucking swings to the tree. Watch the head pop off while this one hits, too, because I thought the practical effects in this movie were absolutely spot on. You take away the practical effects in this movie, and this movie's, like, probably bad, because of the timing that they did this movie in, and with the effect of what we just talked about, taking out the kills. Or I should say downsizing the kills. But everything Kirk said, I think spot on. This is 100% a 2.
So that comes over to me then for scare/creep factor. It's a 1 for me. I mean, it's Jason Voorhees. I mean, there's some scary, like, hey, if you were in the woods, I hate camping. I literally hate camping in general. So anything that's out in the woods, I'm all
but you're Jason Voorhees is a spider.
I fucking hate spiders, and they're out in the woods, so that would be it's a double negative for me. But I mean, I don't have much to go on here other than these movies aren't to me scary. They're more fun than anything, but there's a little bit of a scare factor in there. Jay, what do you have?
1 big swing to the tree. I agree. Nothing else to say than what you did.
Kirk?
Yeah, so my rating, so if you go back to 1988 or 90 or 90, whenever I first watched this movie, this was a 4 probably. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, this scared the bejesus out of me. That's why it's got such a lasting impression, and I like this movie. But watching it today, the horror doesn't hold up. Slashers are tougher to make nowadays, I believe. So I averaged that out together. It's definitely got some creep. It is Jason Voorhees. He's on Mount Everest. You know what I mean? He's one of the top guys, so I gave it a 1.
All right, so that takes us to a story. And Jay, how many sleeping bags against the tree is Story getting for you?
I gave this one a 1 as well. There's a lot of great ideas that were out there that I think, obviously we talked about earlier with the original possible Freddy versus Jason concept. Maybe some other things that they maybe would have had some interest in doing on this. Like I said, I was a fan of the telekinesis, so to me, I think that's why I gave it the 1, just because it's never been done in this kind of a setting before. Obviously, Carrie had that, but that was its own thing. I mean, like in a Freddy versus like a Freddy, Jason, Michael, any of those. This is it. This is the first time they've done that, and personally, I thought it worked.
Kirk, what do you got on Story?
Story is rough, man. We talked about the modular fill of this movie, the rush to production. I'm not turning on this movie for the story. So he didn't even pick up the sleeping bag on this one. So he gets a 0 for the story. I don't think even the people who wrote and directed this cared about the story. They wanted to put people in a room with Jason Voorhees, and they did that.
So I feel like I've seen so many headshots that, I've seen way worse stories at this point in time. I agree with you. Everything you just said, Kirk. I'm still giving it a 1 sleeping bag against the tree, and that is, this is almost like every other cookie cutter Friday the 13th. I don't hate that story. Like, I want to see a bunch of people go out, have some fun with each other and, die in, random horrible ways.
Get laid, get killed.
The telepathy thing was a miss for me, but at least they tried something. But the story is bad, but I've seen way worse. So I'm giving it a 1 there, which takes us to our final category before we get to our bonus, obviously, section. So, Kirk, acting. How do you feel about acting in this movie?
Yeah, the only person I thought that brought it, and I really have any charm for or appreciation for, is Kane Hodder, right? I think he was marvelous in it, and he didn't say a word. It was all body language with him. It's all his build and his ability to move the character. So everyone else in it was very cringe. The mom stole every scene from me that she was in. I couldn't look away, and I don't mean in a good way. It's not Stacey's mom. It is not in a good way. And the body count, which all the other people, I'm just going to call them body count. I don't know their names. They're just body tallies. That's it. So I gave this one another 0. Like, I don't think Kane could pull this to a 1 by himself. I don't think they cared about acting in this one as well. They wanted to put, and I'll say it again, they wanted to put people in a room with Jason Voorhees, which they succeeded at.
So that comes over to me for acting. Now, I'm giving it a 1. We'll put it. I'll start there, which means I gave every category a 1 here. It's just average to me. What I will say about the acting, and this is almost every Friday the 13th, I don't ever think the acting is especially bad. I mean, you would think it would be in these movies, that you would just have, a lot of times they're no-name actors, but I never find the acting to be bad. I don't find it ever to be good, with the exception of, Kirk, you nailed it, with Kane Hodder. He alone gives it a knock up for me, but I don't find the acting to be bad. I just don't find it to be that good. So I'm right in the middle at a 1. Jay, what do you got?
I am 1 sleeping bag to the tree on this one myself, and I've already said it earlier. I mean, obviously Kane Hodder, I agree. I was also a big fan of Lara Park Lincoln in this. She's one of my favorite final girls, like I said earlier. But I loved the relationship that she had with Kevin Blair and Nick. So, I mean, I thought that was a good story within the story. Believe it or not, Dr. Cruz, I thought, I loved that evil upon the evil in the story as well. So there's a lot to the acting in this that made it work. So it was definitely a 1 for me.
I can't refute what you even said about Dr. Cruz. I thought he's a very good actor and he did his part very good. I just couldn't not.
It was just written. It was written poorly.
It was written very poorly, and I couldn't get away from Weekend at Bernie's. I just see his dead body like hanging between two guys. Like it kept reminding me of the.
Well, you
comedy.
got to see his dead body hanging later on. So.
Yeah, good point. Touche.
So this comes to now we get to go around here, and there's only 1 point that you can give or take away based off of something, just one thing from the movie. So, Jay, it's your movie. I'll lead off with you again here on this, because this will give your final score here, which we'll come back to. But are you giving a point, or are you taking one away, and what for?
I'm leaving it exactly at my 6.
Okay. Way to say fuck the bonus points, or taking one away. No, I like it. All right, so Jason says there's nothing else that he needs to give, which puts his final score at a 6. Kirk, what are you doing on this
Jason,
one?
I love your honesty there. It's not easy when you finally get a bonus to do a 0, and you pulled through. But everything you guys said about story and acting, right, all the reasons you gave a 1 to is the reason I gave a bonus. Because I think this is a classic slasher. I think there are some elements in each of those things I do like. I just couldn't push it to a 1, so I gave it the +1 bonus for those, and also it's my favorite Jason, so they get the +1.
All right, so that comes to me, and I'm actually subtracting a point on this one. I wrote it down. I almost feel bad now with it because I feel like this is if the directors made the movie that they wanted to make, I'm higher. All right, so let me just preface that.
Amazing.
Yes, I'm taking a point away because to have 15 kills and they're all so boring, with the exception of I wrote them all down. Like we have the horn in the face, but you don't see it. Could have been a cool ass death.
It was plastic.
You have the head crush. The head crush. Well, if it goes into the brain, if you have the head crush, we don't see it. You have the weed whacker, which Jason pulls out of apparently his fucking butthole. And
you don't store your weed whackers
we
up
don't.
there?
Obviously it was in the lake, but we see so many different good things, and we don't get to see any of it except for the sleeping bag. So I'm subtracting 1, which takes me down to a 4. But if this was a director's cut, I'm probably at a 6.5. You know what I mean? 6, 7, whatever it would be. Well, I don't know.
I will say one thing though. There's one death in this movie that makes absolutely no sense to me, and that's Elizabeth Keighton, who played Robin, when she's thrown out the window. There's no way in hell she would have been dead from that fall. That fall was only like 10.
Which girl is that? Which one is that?
She's the one that got thrown out the window.
I can't remember.
Robin. She's the one that was she was the one that was doing it with Eddie.
Oh yeah.
Or not Eddie, with David or whatever. And then he went down, got stabbed, and then she got thrown out the window because she was like a kitty cat. And
maybe her head hit the window and it bashed her skull in.
Because that fall, that medically would not have done
we're past nitpicks. But,
I know. I just want to throw that out there.
For an overall score, then, Jason, you rank it the highest at a 6.
Yes.
Kirk, you come right in at the median here of a 5, and I'm the lowest one on the totem pole, coming in at a 4 based off of our...
Let me ask you guys a question. With this new scoring system, were you surprised at your score?
No.
Yes.
I was surprised at mine because... Thinking back, I really like this movie. Like, I remember this being, like, I even said on the last podcast, like, oh, I'm excited about this one. This is one of the Friday the 13th I like, and I ended up right at a 5. I was surprised.
And the IMDb score is a 5.2.
Right there.
For what that's worth. So we're all, I mean, obviously hovering right above that.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk, you're the closest. But, yeah, it is interesting, and I do love the new scoring format. And if you like it out there, let us know, guys. But we're also adding one more thing to our format on this movie, and that is if we could if we could do one thing to make this movie better, what would it be? So, Kirk, how about you kick us off?
I'm so glad you came to me because I think me and you are going to be on the exact same page. I don't think Jason's going to be with us, but I think me and you are on the same page. And I might take a different one. Let me think. Yeah, I'm going to take a different angle because I know where you're going to go. But the simple thing, it's just one of those nitpicky things. The nerdy girl that tried to be hot. And I feel like this conversation needs to be brought up.
Maddie.
She went from nerdy girl to still 80s nerdy girl. Like, there was, I think the director, somebody's daughter is in this movie, and they thought she killed it with that makeup scene, and it just ruined that little section.
It was all
for
about
me.
self-confidence for her.
Good
They're
for
like,
her.
this is going to be great for her.
But she was also the one that I bought. Like, I bought that she was actually scared the most when she was in that barn scene shaking. I was like, all right, that girl's bringing it. But that transformation they tried to bring with the nerdy girl going hot, I would say I'd have to find a different avenue on that or have a great kill on her because it just made me, like, for about 10 minutes I was just giggling.
So, well, Jay, you want me to go next? I'll go next because it's your movie and you can kind of cap us off with it. Now, listen, there's a couple ways I wanted to go with this because I really just want more kills. But the telepathy,
Ding, ding, ding.
The way to get rid of that shit. I mean, all of it in general. Yeah, you talked about earlier. Give her like a weapon, and they could have had her like maybe she had a little bit of telepathy, but not give her all this at the end where she like that's how she kills Jason. No, like maybe she tries the telepathy, it just doesn't fucking like she's not good at it because it's not a real thing.
Or maybe she holds him with the telepathy and runs up and hits him in the face with a baseball bat.
And then does something. I would have rather just not seen it whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I guess, once again, it makes sense based off of where the carry and all that kind of stuff. So I get that now. So to be honest with you, that actually raises the elevation in my eyes of it. But if they could have done that, that would have made it better. Jason, take us home.
All right. So I'm actually going to go to the finale of this movie. I would change the complete ending. Like, I don't like the dad being resurrected to come up and pull Jason under the water. Personally, like, and I've thought hard on this one. I personally would have done with her telekinesis. I would have had those chains and everything that was in the water that was holding him down with the rock for all that time. Something like that coming out of the water and like wrapping around his neck and dragging him back into the water. So I think that would have been more believable with the way the rest of the movie was going, as opposed to, oh, daddy, come and save me bullshit.
See, what they should have done is had Jason dump blood on her in her wedding dress or prom dress and then shoot fire at everybody is what they should have done.
No, she would have like sliced somebody's neck open on the banister above her while she's standing, so then it drips down and she just loses it. That would have been badass, actually.
There's definitely a cool thing in there.
I'm just saying.
But Jay, any last thoughts, Jay? Because it's your movie, man.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I'm glad that we finally got to do Friday the 13th, and I'm just gonna throw us out there with the new format. I'm 1-0-0 right now. So
1-0. Okay. Well, listen.
1-0 to 0.
That's a very great segue into putting a nice little bow on Friday the 13th, or a nice little sleeping bag, I should say.
Yes.
And now it's time to look ahead to next week and take a ride on the Devil's Wheel.
The Devil's Wheel.
Welcome back to the show, and it's Devil's Wheel time. So for our Devil's Wheel, what we like to do is we each take 3 movies, we put it on a wheel, we spin it, whatever it lands on, that is the movie we review the next week. Very simple concept, but before we can spin the wheel, we need to know what's on the wheel. And Jason, I'll go to you first because you're the only one that was obligated to actually make a change. So what are your 3 movies?
All right, so I'm going to stick with From Beyond. I haven't seen that in a long time. I'd love to review that. This will be the last week that I have Leprechaun 2 on, obviously with St. Patty's Day coming up this week. I'm not going to keep it on there beyond that if it doesn't win. I actually got a fan request this week of a movie to put on the wheel. John Butcher, this one is for you. Frankenhooker.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll go second here. I'm putting Event Horizon back on the wheel for Elliot, who's been waiting very patiently for a really long time. But now half of that time we weren't even recording, so not my fault. And then I'm doing 2006 is Hatchet. I'm leaving on there. And I'm adding on a movie that I know neither one of you two have ever watched, but it was I watched it 2 years ago, and it's been in my brain since. So it's called The Trip from 2021 is on the wheel. So those are my 3. Captain, what do you got?
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm half tempted here to put Event Horizon in here twice because I love that movie and I want you to watch it. But I won't do it. I'm going to stick to my own movie. So I got 3 that all 3 of these movies I love for different reasons, for that matter. So I've got 1986 TerraVision. I have 1992's Dead Alive. And then I have 1990's Jacob's Ladder.
I find it interesting that 2 of your 3 movies are in the 90s.
I was too. I looked them up.
80s,
I would have never guessed that these are 90s movies. But I think let's be real. It's an 80s hangover movie, right? There's some.
Well, it's early enough in the 90s. Yes.
Didn't Peter Jackson have his hands on some of those too, right?
Brain Dead for sure.
Yeah.
Or,
Brain Dead, Dead Alive, whatever you want to call it.
Dead Alive, yeah.
It's called both things. Like it just depends on where you look.
Yeah.
All right. So all that's left to do.
Spin that wheel, DJ.
And Jay, I was okay with you winning earlier until you decided to, talk shit.
Well, I said 1-0.
All right. So what I will say is somebody's not getting 2.
Oh, right.
So it comes between Kirk and I. But it's going to be a me win this week, and we're watching Hatchet
Another Kane
from
Hodder
2006. Movie. So apparently Kane Hodder took his own telepathy and put it in our fucking podcast and said, "Let's make it happen."
You know, I'm going to be very interested, and I haven't watched this movie in a while, to see how this scores on this scoring system.
I am too, actually.
I
was just
already know
thinking the
what
same
one of
thing.
the scores. I'm looking. I already know what one of the scores is going to be very high on this.
Oh
movie.
yeah, easily.
Well, I know, this is going to be one of those fun ones that I think we've all seen this movie and we've liked it, but when you go back through with like a fine-tooth comb, it just changes everything, stylistically, thematically, all that. So,
Daddy.
we will be moving 18 years into the future from this week and going to 2006 for next week.
Yeah.
And we will reconvene, same bat time, same bat channel, and watch, a little Hatchet. I'm actually really excited about it. This is, Kirk, little common fact here. This has been on and off the wheel for like over a year
Since
now.
we started the podcast.
Yeah, maybe even. I mean, I know I've wanted it to add it. I don't remember when I first added it, but
it's
about
funny.
time
So Hatchet is one of those movies in your mind you think is a cult classic, but it's from 2006. And when you said that, I was like, that doesn't sound right. It feels like it's
Well, it's
so much
because there's
older.
been 4 of them now, and
Yeah.
you start thinking, completely different, I guess.
Kane
But
Hodder's in his 60s. No big deal. He's got a cane in the last
he's literally
Kane with a cane.
Hodder now.
one. Yeah.
So, well, I'm excited for this. This is good. What last words do you guys got out there? Eh?
Yeah, so this is episode 2 for me. Hopefully I found my legs, right? And, the little jab I got at the end of the last one. But no, it was a good time. Like, great movie.
Did I say that, or did you say that?
You said that. I said I said I can't always be right, and you said, well, you might find your legs in the second or third one.
Man,
Wow.
I'm a funny motherfucker from time to
I just
time.
edited the YouTube channel, so I got to re-listen to this thing like 12 times.
Wait, what? Tell me more about this YouTube channel.
Yes, excellent. So I'm just set up the MVJ horror YouTube channel here, so you can actually catch us now on YouTube. If you go to MVJ Horror, we've got one video up there. It is the stuff, but look for next week's Friday the 13th, and I'll have it up as soon as we can get the work done.
I like it.
And it's really good too. Like I'm excited to see, a lot of these changes, how that might, I'm curious to see how the fans are going to enjoy this. So
No pressure
Well, listen,
on creativity.
yeah,
We got more to come as well. So
We do.
for everybody out there in listener land, we always thank you every week. This has been episode 112 of the MVJ Horrorcast. Remember that you can catch us on a bunch of different places. So MVJ Horror on Facebook. We have MVJ Horrorcast, I think it is, on Instagram. Just start typing MVJ HORR. Hopefully you start spelling it right, and we'll come up there. And then we're also on Instagram, Twitter.
Twitter.
But I literally do not know what we do
Twitter,
over there. But we'll
Instagram,
talk to you.
Facebook, and
Yeah.
YouTube.
We got, yeah, and now we got YouTube. We also have an email address, mvjhorror@yahoo, but you can actually email us via the Facebook page or via the Instagram page. So yeah, give us some requests. We got a couple on the wheel, but we could always use more. So yeah, let us know. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we'd be very grateful if you go in and give it a little 5 stars. We greatly appreciate it.
We like
yeah.
stars.
And look for our trip here coming here pretty soon to MegaCon. We're going to meet up with some horror icons. I won't say any names, but if you looked at MegaCon's website, you probably know. But we're excited about that coming up very shortly.
And Spookal after that,
Spookal
lots
after
of different,
that,
lots of different cons, and
Yes.
there's going to be some really cool cinema. What are the where they have all the movies at?
Movie theater?
Not the movie theater, but like
Hollywood?
No, when they play a bunch of like movies to a festival.
Festival.
Some film festivals
Film
coming
festival.
up soon.
Oh, okay.
That's
I was
the
like,
word-
what the hell are you
that's the word
talking
I'm
about?
looking for. Guys, I swear I don't drink, so I don't know what's it's not there. So
There's
all
more
right,
things than
well,
drinking out there, trust me.
oh well, that's fair. That's fair.
Very true.
All right. Well, once again, thank you, everybody. Look forward to talking about a little bit of Hatchet action next week, and maybe Kirk will win. Since I'll just end this show with a stab as well.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
maybe-
just glad
maybe
that it's
will.
you stabbing him every week, not me, because usually Kirk, that was always me getting stabbed. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see somebody else getting stabbed for once.
I took
No
Jason
pun
against
intended.
I took Jason in the sleeping bag against a tree last week.
All right. Well, just like a sleeping bag against a tree, we are out.